Okay. Senor says, and now Finn Balor wants a little title rematch against the War Raiders. Yeah, like now he gets all his what he wants. I think that's gonna backfire on him. I'm just kind of hoping they just pull the trigger against with Dom against Finn sooner rather than later because it seems like it's just going on way too long. We don't need to have it go on too much longer. It's just dragging it out at this particular point. Let's see. Galaxy mentions a chain, and then Charisse says, I saw some people talking about how Triple H having Rhea being overpowered because of what he did to China, and I'm kind of suspecting that too. Like, you have to remember that Triple H did China filthy, and he might have some guilt about it, but you shouldn't be tanking your own product just because you see China and Rhea. But Rhea's not going to beat China because China had the presence in the Attitude Era. She was in the Attitude Era where there wasn't a lot of women. That they were other women just eye candy. But another thing with China, like I keep saying, China took the hits from the guys. She wasn't rap. She was China was not protected. Rhea's protected. Like Rhea can go around and just keeps hitting guys and then not getting any kind of leg backs on these guys. But China was getting those hits. And while they wouldn't be able to do all the wrestling moves on China, they did a significant amount. She was getting guitar shots from Jeff Jarrett, chair shots, DDTs, all that stuff. Getting slammed to the mat on the outside of the ring. She was dealing with all of that. Has Rhea done any of that? Has Rhea been, it's like with Dom. Has Rhea like shoved Dom out of the way to take a chair shot? Has Rhea been shoved Dom out of the way to get a guitar shot? It's things like that that built up China's presence. And then China had vulnerable moments. It's like when we had the Eddie Guerrero and China relationship, and when Eddie cheated and snapped on China, we saw China be very vulnerable. That's what was needed in this storyline. See, you don't have to cry, but she could at least show some vulnerable moments. Show that Dom did to her affected her. We should have had that with Rhea. We didn't. So she's just still a one note character. Nothing has changed with Rhea. Nothing. He's still talking about the title she never lost and dead weight. Okay, then well, we shouldn't care about what Dom did to you. If Dom is dead weight, then you should be able to get over with. That's the thing too. If Dom is dead weight, then that means that you should be able to get over him right now. But as we see in the promo between Liv and Rhea, he's still a main focus for Rhea. So which is it? Is he dead weight? Is he little? Is he a slut where you had to get rid of him, or you still focus on him? So they need to make up their mind on that. Either let Rhea finally be hurt, or just have Rhea write him off and not acknowledge him. Rhea shouldn't be bringing Dom up all the time, especially when Dom is not bringing up Rhea. See, that's the glaring point too. Dom is not bringing up Rhea. He doesn't fix her mouth to talk about Rhea. If he's talking about Rhea, it's because he has to talk about Rhea. He's not bringing up Rhea unprompted. Rhea is bringing up Dom unprompted. And then for this last woman's standing match, I don't want Dom in the vicinity because that might mean that he catches a riptide. But if Dom being in the vicinity of Rhea next week means that he can finally tell her off and finally hurt her, shove her off, do something. I think even at the risk of Dom potentially getting a riptide, if Dom could just finally hurt, not even just physically hurt, mentally hurt, whatever, where hurt Rhea, where he could finally get a leg back, I'd be happy. There are ways of Dom being able to be physical with Rhea without it just being a straight up hit, and they can be creative with it. Let Dom be the one to handcuff Rhea down to the ground where she can't get up. Let Dom be the one to start piling stuff on her where she can't get up. Let Dom be a one to finally drive the nail in the coffin for Rhea. That's what I need. And to talk about the last one standing match as well, people were saying Finn could bring in Becky. Now, here's why I say that's probably not going to happen. One, if Finn does that, that just exposes his ass, and then he's out as a leader. See, right now, Finn is in his delusional world where he's the leader. So him doing that will just prompt everybody else to kick back at him. And I know Finn is smart enough to think that way. So why would you bring in Becky for that? And I wouldn't want Becky to be attached with Finn anyway. I would rather Becky, if Becky's going to show up, I want Becky by herself. Let Becky be by herself. She don't need to be attached with Finn, especially when she has Seth, and they can run some things with Becky, Seth, Dawn, and Liv. That could be Dawn and Liv's thing. We don't need Becky attached with Finn. That's why I'm saying I don't think Finn is plotting. I think he's just in his really delusional world right now. Let's see. New York says they announced the nice guy who is more relevant. Usually they've been announcing Finn more as the front. So it's an interesting switch to go Dirty Dom first in the announcements. Galaxy says, I don't know what H sees in Damien. I don't know either. Like, isn't a recruit down in. See, I think even a lot of people in NXT clear Damien. Like, there was a choice between Damian Priest and Trick Williams, even though Trick still needs a little bit more seasoning, I think. I would take Trick in a heartbeat. If there was, who else is down there? Youngblood, Javon Evans, anybody of those, Javon Evans, Wesley, Andre Chase, any of these guys down there in NXT. Now, the guy situation in NXT is kind of paling in comparison to the women. But there's a lot more guys in NXT that I would choose over Damian Priest right now. I don't get what he sees in Damian Priest. And I don't get the booking of Damian Priest. Like, if you want to run the storyline, you could at least run it where Dom is getting his offense, Dom is getting some wins in this. You could at least be trading that off. Like, if we're going to have Finn and Damian in this tug of war or whatever this is, at least let Dom get some wins. At least let Dom get the offense. There's no point in Damien just shrugging off attacks. And people are always calling him like a Timu Undertaker. But Undertaker would sell. It's not like Undertaker shrugged off all these shots. It's the same thing with like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, even though he hooked up and won with his leg drop, he would sell for the guys prior to it. It wasn't like he just ran. Except unless it was a jobber. I'm talking about 80s, 90s Hulk, not 80s, late 80s to early 90s Hulk Hogan, not NWO Hogan. That's totally different beast. But just real American Hulk Hogan would at least sell for his opponents, unless it was a jobber. Jobber matches, that's completely different. And a jobber match. But when he's going up against some of these other people, Hulk Hogan, would sell. We don't get that with Damien. So I really don't get why he needs to no-sell everything, and it's not helping. Liv Morgan says, I think Liv will win. Yeah, I do too. I have to give 20% for bullshit, but I don't see where Rhea could go with the win. I don't see why they would change a title belt right now. Like, if they're going to be trying to change something right now, that needs to wait till like WrestleMania. If they wanted to give Rhea that WrestleMania, okay, fine, whatever. But not at this particular moment. Like I said, there's no story. What's the story? What's Rhea gonna do? Want to wait for a Royal Rumble winner or an Elimination Chamber winner, and then she's just running around like the best? I got the title back that I never lost. What is she gonna do? Is she just gonna sit at home? Because that seems like that's all she's doing right now is just sitting at home. And you're gonna give her the belt while Liv, all these other women are busting ass, wrestling, promoting, doing all their other stuff, going international, doing all this other stuff. But Rhea stays at home. Roman Reigns doesn't have the rigorous schedule, but Roman Reigns went through actual dog shit to get to the OTC character. So he gets at his health, so he gets a little bit of leeway here. Roman Reigns put in the work for his schedule. Cody Rhodes is still trying to do like 100 matches per year. And that's somebody that could actually you would think could afford to get his foot off the gas a little bit. But now, Cody Rhodes is going full throttle. And those are the faces of the company. CM Punk, he's not there all the time, but he's doing stuff. He's showing up for promotions. He's showing up for promotions. He's doing matches. He's doing some really brutal matches. His age. He's doing some really brutal matches, like that Hell in a Cell with Drew McIntyre. Like, he's doing all those matches. Drew McIntyre's are doing all these matches. Everybody else is doing something. And then you got Rhea barely doing it. She gets up, she shows up, does her stomp, chases somebody away, arrive. It's kind of like arrive, raise hell, and leave, kind of like Stone Cold. But at least Stone Cold was doing some. Stone Cold would do the promos. He would have, and then he would still do the matches. So he would arrive, raise hell, and leave. But he's also doing promos and he's also doing matches. It wasn't like he would raise hell and leave and then disappear for like three. You didn't hear from him again. Stone Cold would usually be all over the show. If Stone Cold was there, he was all over the show. He would show up maybe in his monster truck, show up with the APA, go start some shit with The Rock, go start some shit with Vince McMahon, and then, do stunner, give stunners to everybody, and then, he might have a match too. Rhea ain't doing that. Let's see, sure. What Charlie says, it how Damien fell on his face instead of the rope, and when Dom got pinned, it was weird. Yeah, Damien botched that whole 619 attempt. Dom was supposed to do that Hurricanrana, and he's supposed to, the forward momentum to get Damien to the rope so Dom could go for the 619. He didn't do that. He fell right on his face. And this is the person that we're supposed to be cheering. That's probably why nobody was cheering for him when he got the pin on Dom. Like, you did all that, and then do the South of Heaven and win, and then we're supposed to cheer you after that kind of a botch. And then his Razor's Edge was not good as well. Like, you don't have the skill set or the aura to do like what Rhea does and just manhandle the power through everything. I'm sorry, Damien. That whole sequence was weird, and it just made everybody look bad. Galaxy says, I don't know how Damien can't sell anything for Dom, but main event talent like Punk says Gunther can. Yeah, people talk about this all the time. I was saying that like the other day, like we're gonna go from a holiday tour of Dom showing out to this match with Damien. I think people are just tired of Damien at this point. Like, if Dom wasn't involved with Damien, I don't think people would be like, "Oh, Damien Priest" online. But since Dom is there and people just can see what Dom can do and know what Dom can do, and then you got Damien no selling his ass, then you got people upset. And then it's like with anybody else, nobody wants to have their favorite wrestler interact with Damien because he's just no selling anything, and it doesn't make no sense because Damien was pinned and looking weak as fuck these past 2 years, but now all of a sudden this year, after he loses the title, mind you, he's invincible and omnipotent too. Like, he was able to figure out the Judgment Day's attacks last week. He's making single-handedly, along with Rhea, making Judgment Day look weak because they don't want to allow Judgment Day to look strong. This would be like if Solo wasn't allowed to beat up on Roman Reigns a little bit. You see how Roman was able to get, show humility and be humble by Solo and actually built up Solo? We can't even get that with Judgment Day with Damian and Rhea. You couldn't get beat up enough where Judgment Day, the new Judgment Day, could reestablish themselves. But I digress. Senor says, Dom needs to finish his story being Finn and Damien at WrestleMania 40. Well, I'm not even sure they can get to that point. I think I'm just tired where I just need them to go and do something, pull the trigger, and maybe Dom can finish something at Elimination Chamber, because I don't know what they'll do at WrestleMania 41. I don't want to keep seeing this Damien thing all the way to WrestleMania 41. Finn, maybe, but that's going to be a heck of a stretch. And then Finn keeps losing too, so like, nobody's getting built up here. Damien's getting all the wins, and then Dom and Finn are just losing. Like, nobody's really getting an advantage pin wise except Damien and Galaxy. And then Sherry says Galaxy rise because they're professionals. Oh, ton about the selling. Yeah. When Finn talking about Liv and Dom looked like he wanted to hit Finn in Raw Talk with Kel too. Yeah, he's on that edge where he's ready to separate, and I think he will eventually get after Finn because he doesn't want anybody talking about Liv. Like, There's only so much you can do at this particular point. Nancy the zombie. Hello everyone. Hi Nancy. I don't know how to pronounce this. DeGiffy says couldn't watch, but I know definitely ruined shit. She was on the she had the promo, but like I said, it's nothing new. She just retreated what she's been saying, and she's just the same. And then they still failed to acknowledge any kind of past. Like this promo could have at least had her acknowledge some stuff. Like all she did was just I got caught slipping. Like you can't admit that you did some shit wrong. It's not, you go Dom as a dead weight and Dom's a slut, but you can't admit that you've done wrong. I treated Dom this way, and I did do this. I did injure Liv's arm. I did injure Raquel. I didn't treat Dom like he should, and it's just a little bit. Give us a little bit of acknowledgement. You don't have to apologize at this point. I'm not even looking for an apology. I'm looking for acknowledgement of what you've done. Because again, why is it that Bianca can still give Bailey a wide berth over what she's done, but Rhea, with Rhea, we can't acknowledge anything with her. It's just this really glaring hole with Rhea. Everybody else can reference the past. We got CM Punk and Seth referencing their path and stuff that's happening even outside the WWE. We got Bailey and Bianca. We got Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. We have Drew McIntyre having a hit list of the original Bloodline members because of what they did to him. But with Rhea, we can't do anything that acknowledges anything that she done wrong. It's glaring. It doesn't make sense, and it's glaring. And that's why the story fell off. Senor says holiday tour. This Raw, yeah, holiday tour was fun. We had CM Punk in a towel. We had doing all kinds of offense. We had Liv winning. It was a lot better. This Raw didn't live up to my expectation at all. I was expecting more explosiveness, and it didn't. It just seems like they just waiting for Netflix, and I get that, but this was still lackluster for what it could have been. Elizabeth says, "Do you think Charlotte could return and help Liv or one of Rhea's enemies? If Charlotte does that, that'll make her a heel. And we've had heel Charlotte before. I think she would be on SmackDown because unless Andrade moves, which is her husband, I don't. Unless Andrade moves to Raw, I think Charlotte would want to be with her husband. I was more expecting Charlotte to be targeting like Tiffany and Nia, probably. Maybe start something up with Naomi and Bianca. Nancy says, "Do you think there will be the end of their feud on the Netflix premiere?" If you're talking about Rhea and Liv, I think this is the pause for it. I think they'll be like fight forever, but I think this will be the pause. And I still think Liv will win. I'm really hoping she wins. I don't think I can deal with Rhea not being wrestling. I think Rhea just needs to. I think she still has some nagging injuries. I don't know what she all did during the holiday tour, but that's she was in a six woman tag. So those are usually the safest matches you can do because everybody else could pull the load and you could just get the hot tag for that. I think she probably just needs to go on and take some time off. And hey, it's Bricola. I saw you, Bricola. One sec. Bricola says, "How many more times does Dom need to be pinned by Damien?" Again, yeah, like you had JD there. Why couldn't JD get pinned? Why does Dom need to get pinned right there? I think they keep trying to Damien pin Dom for the heat, and it's just not working. It's not working anymore. Dom, if anybody can see on the holiday tour, Dom still gets his heat, so it's not like it's waning like anything like that. It's just Damien. He's just a vortex of suck, and he's not going to get those responses like they thought they were going to get. It's too late for him. But he needs to go. Either he needs to get written off, so he can come back and do something else, and he needs to really tone down this invincible character. And then, like Joe Bob says, what do you want Liv to do at Mania? I want her to have her title match. She wasn't there last year. Neither was Nia, actually, too. That's what really upset me before I got all aboard the Liv and Dom thing in April. What really annoyed me with Liv Flash at the beginning of this year is how they kind of bypassed Liv. Like, Liv came back as the revenge tour, and then it was just Rhea straight up ignoring her, and it does play into the story, but it was weird how you had Rhea ignore her, and then they were setting up Becky. Like Becky had already won a shot at WrestleMania, which is why I was really annoyed that Becky won Elimination Chamber, because she could have just called her shot. She's a veteran. She's had multiple titles. She could have just called her shot. There was no reason for Becky to win Elimination Chamber. You could have gave Liv that win at Elimination Chamber, and then she could have called her shot for after WrestleMania. It kind of worked out in the end, regardless. But that's how I was thinking it was going to be. Like Becky just calls her shot to challenge Rhea at WrestleMania, and then Elimination Chamber would have been to set up the challenger for after WrestleMania. But I don't like how Liv was just kind of written off there. She was doing like backstage promos. If anybody remembers the time like before WrestleMania was Liv, like she was like doing backstage promos. They wouldn't even let her. They didn't even let her be on the show. It was just Rhea, walking around with the title, and then they were using Dom to get any kind of heat for the match. That's why I said that now with Rhea and Io, that they don't have nobody to bounce off of. Like, who are you going to bounce off of before this supposed Rhea and Io match? Like, you can only do so many I'm the best type matches with Rhea, and she doesn't need those types of matches. Like, how many I'm the best? You're gonna just knock down everybody, just set up. You're gonna build up somebody that she hasn't been able to work with just so she can beat them. If that's the case, she could just go ahead and go start fighting like Bianca. But Bianca's gonna be tied up probably. But for Liv, I'm really hoping we do get title match between her and Becky at WrestleMania 41. That's who I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping happens. And I think this is a feud that needs the title. This is not a feud that can be a non-title match between Becky and Liv. Let Liv still have the title, and she can challenge Becky, or Becky can challenge her. Nancy says, Bricola, yes, exactly. Senor says, they should have waited the new song until Dawn got leadership. They probably should, but they could have been running out of rights, so they probably ran out of the rights for On the Other Side, and they just had to go on and debut the music. But I think the music isn't that bad. For a Def Rebel song, I don't think it's that bad. And like I said, I think it fits Dom's aesthetic more. Ricola says, when Rhea cut that promo, you saw why Liv will retain. Yeah, it was nothing new. It's just the same promo with Rhea. I never lost a title. Y'all are dead weight. You caught me slipping. I should have been the champion. Like, no, you think, like, it's just the same character, Rhea. Very egotistical. I should have kept wandering into 2024 as the champion. Like, that just would have been torture in and of itself. People talk about this being a vortex stuck between Rhea, but her holding on to the titles for a longer amount of time than where she had it. That would just been horrible. Because like it is still now, the Raw Women's Division is still in shambles because of that. Because they refuse to build up anybody else. Refuse. And then every time we get a trade, and then we might get a trade or something, but it's still like nobody else is able to be built up because Rhea is just so up here. At this point, my favorite wrestling commentator, BC Amplified, is making the argument that Rhea should just not have the title, and I agree with him. He said there are some people that don't really need the title, and Rhea's one of those, and she could get the title when it's needed for her to have the title. And at this point, she doesn't need it because she's just this person. He compared her to the Undertaker, and while I wouldn't say that she is the Undertaker, but I get the comparison because Undertaker didn't have the title. He only got it like later in his career. But I get the comparison point there. Like, you're built up so high where you don't need the title. And he said that and then BC said that she needs to be built up with storylines and things. So when it comes back around, when she needs the title, she'll have it. And they haven't done that with Rhea. Ricola said that's all she wants is Dom. Yeah. I mean, they might as well just kind of frame it that way. Just say that she's still not over Dom. I mean, it would make sense. Like, he's the person that got away from her. And she's obsessed about why he wanted to get away from her. Just make it like that. If you don't want to reference any history, just kind of make it like that. Just say that she's obsessed with Dom. She doesn't get why he left her because she's still all egotistical. Just have it be like something like that. and it would have been better. And yours says Raquel looks so very pretty tonight. Raquel has been bringing so many good looks recently. I am so happy for her because has been really looking great. Her looks have been on point. Her clothes have been on point. Everything has been on point with Raquel. I love her. There's some people online that get really upset with her because apparently she's breaking up all the Dom and Liv moments, and I had to point out on the ick like get off her neck because just because Raquel is there is not preventing Liv and Dom moments. We did get Liv and Dom moments. We got the Saturday night main event stuff with Dom and Liv. We got the in-ring promo with Dom and Liv and Raquel, but we're still getting Dom and Liv moments. We got the Christmas pictures. People acting like like we haven't gotten anything with Dom and Liv like for months. And I'm saying just because Raquel is there is not preventing the Dom and Liv moment. And then if she wasn't there and Dom was there all the time, people would be talking about how Dom is taking over the women's division. So nobody could win. So it's either Dom is going to be there all the time and they talk crap about him taking over the division, or Raquel is going to be there all the time and we're not getting Dom and Liv moments. And I just said, you're going to complain about that you don't get Dom and Liv moments like you want. Leave Raquel out of it. That is, this is booking, and besides that, you don't want to have a whole bunch of Dom and Liv moments all together because people will get burnt out. They have to have some separation, and I'm glad they have some separation. Dom does his thing, Liv does her thing. They come back together, and then they separate again. That's what needs to happen. You can't have them together all the time. I'm pretty sure that when Dom and Liv come back together, they'll come back together, and they'll be really cute. But don't be blaming Raquel for preventing Dom and Liv moments. You see, Crystal says Raquel seems to know Dom's plan. I'm not so sure about Dom, and it's strange to me if he didn't. I think Dom was covering. It's more of a cover thing, where because as I said before, Carlito was there, and Finn is being his demented self. So I don't think Dom would say the plan. He has to kind of he's with Dom. He's smart like a fox, and he works a lot in the background. So with Dom, he would have to, he would have to project like he doesn't know, just to throw off Finn and then throw off Carlito, because I know Carlito would be wanting to know, and then he blabs it. But I would think Dom knows. I would think Raquel knows, and it's just Dom's way of deflecting the questioning of plans because JD was the one that brought it up. So I'm thinking this is more like Dom's way of deflecting the question. So it makes it look like he doesn't really know the plan, but he does know the plan. If that makes sense. It's a cover thing. Because like I said, I'm not sure that Dom would want to say anything in front of Finn right now, especially with the way Finn was talking about Liv. I know Dom would be like, I'm not gonna say anything in front of Finn. So that protects the plan because he doesn't have to say it out loud. Alexis said, since we didn't get to see Liv Dom's story between the Liv feud, what about when the Finn Dom feud happens? That's why I keep saying that needs to go and start like now. Like, gotta kick Finn out, kick off the Finn Dom feud, make Dom the leader, and let's go. If you're gonna just do La Familia and you gotta split it down the middle like that, just go on and pull the trigger. I just needed to go on and happen. Dom doesn't need to be circling the drain with Damien and his vortex of suck. The same thing with Liv. Like, get Damien away from Dom. Dom can feud with Finn, and if Finn wants to feud with Damien because he's demented like that, okay, fine. But either pull it, either separate Damien from Dom, and then just go on and pull this trigger so we can get into it. Senor says Dom needs to post on social worst day of his life right now. Yeah, it wasn't good. Hopefully next week is better. We're going back to 3 hours now, folks. So live still stays the same. I'm still gonna try and be on at 10:30 CST. That gives me 30 minutes to kind of prepare, but still, I don't like to go like right after all. I have to prepare and think about what's going on. But we are going back 2-3 hours next week on Netflix. And then Bricolo says, "See nothing, hear nothing, something." Yeah, that might be even the main. That might even be why Liv posted that picture on Instagram. It's referencing classic DX, but it might be the deeper meaning because there's always been deeper meanings with a lot of the stuff they post on social. Loose lips sink ships and all that. Galaxy says, "Do you see WWE telling the Liv Don backstory or nah?" We have the playlist. The playlist has millions of views. It's just that I'm not sure if they will allow that in the context of Rhea. Like, we could have had so much more. We could have had Dom admitting that he lured Rhea to get attacked by Liv. We could have had all these little bits and pieces there where it could have just broke Rhea's heart, had her be sad, and then she can come back from that. But we didn't get that because it seems like because right now they're justified heels. And I really don't get how come Drew McIntyre can be a justified heel with going after the bloodline, the original bloodline. He's a justified heel because Roman Reigns did cost him the title in front of his fans in his country. Drew can do that, but Rhea, Liv, or Raquel can't bring up anything that justifies what they've done. And this is all to protect Rhea. Like, Rhea is going to get cheered regardless. So it doesn't matter what they say about her. If some people boo, okay, boo. But usually when that happens, the face actually comes out stronger because they've acknowledged what they've done. Rhea currently is the only character that doesn't acknowledge her past, and that's why it's so glaring. Senor Arroyo says, "Wait, the IC title still showed up on Raw? Like, did anybody see like the little glitch where Braun Breaker was talking to Adam Pearce and then he disappeared? Like, you can't even keep the IC title guy on the Raw. I guess he'll show up next week, but it seems like this will be the perfect time for Dom to be going after that. If you're not gonna put Dom into this world heavyweight title and look at what happened tonight. Where was Gunther? This is like a big to do to return to bring back Sheamus, but Gunther, your actual champ, is nowhere to be found. You could have put that title on Dom, and we could have just had shuffleable couple with Liv and Dom, and we could have had people chasing after him for that belt. We could have had that. If they're not gonna do that, they could have put Dom with Intercontinental with Braun Breaker because Braun Breaker ain't doing shit with that belt. Is he good? Yeah. Does he get a reaction? Yeah. He gets a better reaction than Damian, but he's still not on the TV. I don't get his booking either. Like, put the title belt back on him if he's not going to be on there. At least with Dom, he would have been featured a lot more, and the belt would have been featured. If there's any other developments, I will try to make a video about it if it's really important. If not, you can see me on the X at WMaven WWE. You can see my long form videos on YouTube, and I'm gonna try. I need to start back trying to post more videos on TikTok, and I've gotten lazy about that. So I'm gonna try and do some more videos for TikTok as well. Happy New Year, everybody! I hope y'all have a safe, prosperous New Year. May your wishes come true. May your goals May you get your goals. Any fitness goals. I know that the gym is packed in January, so go in February. But I hope y'all have a fabulous New Year. Thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling Receipts podcast. Remember to follow me on the X at WMaven WWE and on TikTok at WriterMaven for more wrestling insights and live reactions every Monday night after Raw. Until next time, I'm just saying.